All right. Hello, everybody. Testing this out, so please share your thoughts. Hey, love, I'm Danielle Lee, founder of hashtag It Didn't Crush Me and Momentum Integrative Health Solutions. After losing everything I thought made me strong, I stopped bouncing back and started building better. This show is where emotional healing meets inflammation science and where high functioning humans come to take their power back in body, in business, and in life. We test, we don't guess, we heal, not hustle, and we create next level health for next level living. So let's get into it because it didn't crush me. So, kind of exciting, testing out the idea of a new YouTube and podcast because I love to teach on all things health. And today I want to come back in here and talk more about this biomarker that no one's testing for, let you know how you can test for it at home, and tell you a little bit why about, or tell you more information about why it's so important, and share a lot of third-party confirmatory data with you. I had the pleasure of speaking last night at a local networking event. They do it once a month. It's called Connect Sphere, and it raises money for a local nonprofit and some vendors, some companies, some sponsors. We all come in. We offer to pay a tabling fee. We bring some prizes. I was a featured speaker, obviously next to the nonprofit where we're raising money for. And there were so many questions. There was so much interest in what I was talking about in terms of our health and this biomarker and talking about internal chronic inflammation. Let's get this silly camera. Look at how this weird Mac camera goes. But there were so many questions about the health and the data behind this. I wanted to come on here and leave a lot more information with you guys, things that you can look up on your own, things that you can continue to research. That's better, isn't it? I would say so. So you'll see me check some notes. There's a lot of things that I already do know, but I want to be sure that I'm giving you a lot of that third-party sourcing so you have ways to go in and look up more information on your own. So what are we here to talk about today? Omegas and inflammation, right? We obviously have a chronic inflammation epidemic here in the United States. We have also found out that the WHO has declared a worldwide omega-3 deficiency. Now, how can that be when everybody has been told by your doctor, your medical provider, common sense, and growing up and learning a little bit about science and nutrition that you need to eat or you need to take an omega-3 supplement? We're going to get into some of that reasoning as to how that could be happening. That epidemic is going on. So here's a statistic for you. Of 1.5 million people who have been tested, it's a lot of tests, right? That is a lot of people who have been tested. 97% of those people come back out of balance. And what do I mean by out of balance? That means that your levels of omega-6 to your levels of omega-3 are out of whack. They're in what we call the danger zone. Um, so why does that matter? Let me give you a little bit of a brief kind of lesson here. I'm gonna use my hands. We have omega-3. It is predominantly anti-inflammatory. We know that you need it. You know your body does not make it, so we must take it. Here we have omega-6. It is predominantly responsible for an inflammatory response. We know that you need it. You know that your body does not make it. Therefore, you must take it. So the ideal ratio, the number you need to know is 3. Why is 3 important? Because the ideal number of omega-6, that predominantly inflammatory omega, to 3 should be a 3-to-1 ratio. You should have 3 omega-6s to every 1 omega-3. Should be easy peasy, right? You take an omega supplement, that should be bringing up your levels of omegas. That's not the case. So I'm going back to that 1.5 million tests performed, right? Of 1.5 million tests, and of those 97% of people who come back out of balance, 20% of that 1.5 million people, they take an omega-3 supplement. 24% of that people in that 1.5 million, they're already taking an omega-3 supplement. They're still coming back out of balance, right? So when you have such a large population, there's actually a book. There's a book that I'm reading right now. Don't let me kid you. I'm not reading it. I'm listening to it on Audible. And to be honest, it's a little bit difficult to listen to on Audible because half the time they are talking, they're just reading the credits. They're reading the citations from all the other journals. But this book, it is by C.W. Willington, MD. It is called The Omega Ratio Miracle. It's about a 16-hour read on Audible or a 16-hour listen. And it really starts out in your initial chapters talking about omegas. And let's just read you what these initial chapters are, right? It's the overview of this omega 6 to 3 ratio, why that's so important. This guy, this author, has zero ties to this company, and he is naming Zinzino by name in terms of having the best balance oil product on the market. We're not talking about an omega-3 supplement, we're talking about an actual balance oil. And so it's really interesting that this guy right here, no company affiliation, does not sit on the board, has not received funding to do any studies. He's naming this company's processing procedures, this company's efficacy in terms of this oil changing that ratio in your body, naming them by name. Pretty interesting, right? Um, so 1.5 million people, they come back, they're 97% out of balance. Find out after 4 months of taking this balance oil, this Mediterranean diet in a bottle, people are back into balance. They're getting those omega 6s to come down, they're getting those omega 3s to come up. Again, you're still thinking, I take an omega-3, I'm just fine. So stick with me. We're going to talk a little bit more about number one, why this marker is um, so important for you to know, and also why your doctors aren't testing for it. And then also what the difference is between an omega fish oil and an actual balance oil. So we know that right now we have a worldwide epidemic declared by the WHO of an omega-3 deficiency. Why are omegas so important? Um, to our health because they're an underlying indicator of chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is responsible for things like Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disease, cardiovascular disease, muscle disorders, muscular disorders, um, obesity, diabetes, premature aging, all of the things. Most people can't tolerate a fish oil because you end up getting the fish burps. Like, and that's disgusting. And I can't tell you how many of my clients are like, I just can't take it. I get the fish burps all the time. And so you're like, okay, I'll take a capsule or I'll just take a tablet rather than a soft gel. Again, you're still not getting the product you need. It is just overly processed. We're going to talk about that. Um, moving in, 1 second, let me change a couple things right here. Um, we finally saw that on, let's see, April 11th, published in Nutraceuticals World, we see that the ODS actually updates guidance on DHA for preterm and early preterm birth prevention, stating that all women of childbearing age, not all pregnant women, there's a difference, right? We see on April 11th, 2025, this agency recommends that all women of childbearing age receive at least 250 milligrams and up to 1,000 milligrams of DHA daily. Again, we're equating DHA simply to omega-3. Stick with me, that is still not enough, but it's a good step letting you know that we're paying attention to this number. Um, there's a doctor, Dr. Paul Clayton. He recognizes that your omegas are found in algae right here. He's a pharmaconutritionist. He obsesses about food nutrition and health. So in nature, you find that omega-3s, they come from algae, but they're bound, actually, they're wrapped around like a nice little hug, like a nice little blanket by a polyphenol. So your omegas are naturally found bound to and wrapped in a nice huggy little blanket. I kind of think of it like a was it like a dumpling? I think like those little pot stickers and dumplings. Like that's when I think of an omega, like bound by a polyphenol, I just think dumpling. I have no idea why. It reminds me of that little Disney Pixar short, which is adorable. Um, Let me switch over real quick to why suddenly this omega-6 level in your body is on the rise, right? So when I was reading, this is what I'm doing this is so fun. I love getting all geeked out on science, right? So when I was reading about the Maha report, we're really talking about how from the year 2000 up until 1999, we saw a 1,000-fold increase in our omega-6 levels. And it's basically due to the ultra-processed food industry. Why did the ultra-processed food industry begin? And I actually was reading about this when we were in Hawaii from this book right here. Made to Move by Dr. Colin Robertson. He's got a great little cadence about him. Interesting read. I'm not finished with it yet. but he's also talking about this, and so it's also in the Maha report. But it talks about how following World War I, much of Europe and Asia's agricultural system was destroyed, and so the United States responded by increasing its agricultural output through mechanization, synthetic fertilizers, industrial scale farming, and shelf-stable processing techniques to feed the world, right? And so this shift in production, it's resulting in an abundant food supply and an increase in the development of ultra-processed foods, a category which we had never been introduced to, right? Like you look in the 1950s, right? So now, like you're one of the elite if you can have as a housewife a ready-made balanced meal of like Salisbury steak and a dessert and a vegetable and a starch, right, all on a pretty little plate that you warm up in your neat little microwave, which if you were able to get your hands on one, it was you were one of the cool kids. um they expected women to have like these big meals ready for their husbands when the women's were the homemakers and the husbands were the breadwinners. So we really talk about this Maha report really talks about the introduction of these UPFs, these ultra processed foods, and how yes, they were created maybe with good intentions and convenience, but what we have done to increase preserve shelf life and preserve foods in general, it's created and it's wreaked havoc on our gut microbiomes, on our food sourcing, how we harvest, pre-harvesting, the chemicals that we're using, the genetically modified organisms that we're creating, all of the things. And it really even goes back before that. We start talking about like how early on during the war, we needed something that had a high dense nutritional content, but was super stable, more stable than butter for the soldiers fighting over in World War II. Maybe it was World War One. You can always laugh at me here because this is where like I get these little things jumbled up with history. I could take a quick look here, see if I can find it. Because it really does. It all talks about butter, and it was kind of like starting with butter back then for the soldiers. It's gonna be World War II, doesn't it? It doesn't matter. You can always message me and you can tell me where I am. Aha, both the First and Second World Wars. It is both. So it's not just the 50s, because that's exactly how we started early on in the early 1900s. Got it. Both wars. We needed to find a better solution for soldiers to sustain them. Some a food that was high in calories and dense in nutrients to keep their energy going for long periods of time, but wasn't going to break down and melt like butter, hence margarine. Here comes the margarine revolution. So we see that this ultra processed foods revolution, obviously, it's leading to nutrient depletion. We're seeing that 70% of the over 300,000 branded food products available in grocery stores today are ultra processed. I mean, it's terrible. And we've already seen some companies commit to making changes, taking out dyes, using better products, using more natural things, right? But if you look, really think about how far the pendulum has swung, we are so far to one side, it's going to take years and years and years and years and decades to fix our food supply. We've got ultra processed grains, ultra processed sugars, ultra processed fats, and even under those ultra processed fats, it talks about how over the course of the 20th century, US dietary fats shifted from minimally processed animal based sources like butter and lard, rich in fat soluble vitamin A, D, and E, supporting brain and immune health, to industrial fats from refined seed oils such as soybean, corn, safflower, sunflower, cottonseed, and canola. I mean, sunflower butter is so good, but it's so not good for you. P.S. Moreover, these oils contribute to an imbalanced omega-6 to 3 ratio, a topic of ongoing research for its role in inflammation. Okay, listed in the Maha report right there, omega-6 to 3, topic of ongoing research for its role in inflammation. So there's one source right there. Now we're going to come over and I'm going to talk a little bit about those omegas, or what it actually does, not specifically the omegas. But if you have this imbalance, if you have this internal chronic inflammation, what is happening to your cells? Your cells are not permeable the way they need to be, right? So they're too rigid, meaning they can't communicate with one another. They can't bring in the nutrients that you are ingesting, the good things that you're doing, the supplements that you're taking, the hard earned money that you're spending to try to find the natural organic products in the whole foods. Your cells can't absorb it the way they're supposed to because Their membranes are too rigid, they're too hard. They also can't expel the toxins, the things that they need, the waste byproducts they need to. So they're getting, not only can they not communicate, but they can't get the good things. They're starving and they're also constipated because they can't get the things out. That's kind of the basic way for me to say it. And when we're reading this book in our book club, right, I'm kind of going lots of different places. Dr. Casey means she's the nominee for Surgeon General. She wrote a book, and for fair balance, like she is involved in a wearable tech company, but who cares? Like wearable tech is great for taking control of your own health, for being an active participant in your health, right? One of the things that she says is the trifecta of dysfunction inside our bodies that generates bad oil or bad energy boils down to these three things: mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic inflammation, and oxidative stress. And we're sitting here right here in this space of talking about omegas and balance oil, not omega 3s, but an actual balance oil to handle this chronic inflammation and to help with strengthening your mitochondria internally. It's actually also a very good book. Um, Let me skip to a couple other things I was looking for. Okay, so why are you wondering, um, does the omega-3 just not work? Let's talk a little bit about the processing. Where did this go? I want to find it for you. Okay. Um, when I was saying at the beginning, when you find an omega in nature, it's bound, it's wrapped in that little dumpling hug by a polyphenol. During the purification process, we need to remove lead, mercury, toxins, all the things. Like you have to purify that. I mean, that's just common sense, right? It naturally happens. The polyphenols are stripped away, part of the purification process. The question is, why is nobody putting polyphenols back into these products? I think you're eventually going to see this happen down the road, but this company has been doing it for 20 years. They've been aware that you need to wrap the omega in a polyphenol. And so they've been doing that for 20 years. They've got the process perfected. They've got it down, which is why you see all of this data out there. 1.5 million tests performed. So in this ACS publication, let's see if I have a bigger one on here. Oh, here we go. Let's go back to experts sound the alarm on dangerous omega-6 and omega-3 imbalance in the food supply. This was a white paper that was actually delivered to the White House and federal leadership on March 19th of this year. It says the white paper addressing the omega-6 and omega-3 imbalance in the U.S. food supply highlights the growing public health crisis driven by excessive omega-6 fatty acid consumption and widespread omega-3 deficiencies, an imbalance fueling omega's chronic disease epidemic. Our research clearly shows that this imbalance is a major contributor to obesity, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disorders, neurodegenerative disorders, and compromised immune function, said Dr. Simopoulos, a global authority on fatty acids and human health. It is a solvable crisis, but it demands immediate attention. Among the white paper's most urgent findings are that omega-6 heavy American diets disrupt immune function, right? So if your omega-6 levels are high, and I'm going to show you how to test for that, if you have a high level of omega-6, particularly in relationship to your omega-3, it's going to disrupt immune function, increase inflammation, and elevate your overall disease risk. Military readiness and cognitive resilience are threatened by poor fatty acid balance. There was actually a study done by Dr. Michael Lewis, or he was part of this study if he was not the entire study itself. And he found that in veterans, because he was working actually at Walter Reed, so he had patients to study. He was working at Walter Reed, and he's always been a big proponent of omega-3s. But he asked the hospital, why is nobody studying the effects of what omega-3s are doing on traumatic brain injury? And Walter Reed was like, I don't know, because nobody's asked the question, like, why don't you study that? Well, what he found was in studying this is that, where's my suicide? Oh, if you have a low level of omega-3 in relationship to 6, right? Or if you have a high level of omega-6 in relationship to your omega-3, you're in these military veterans, military people are at risk of suicide, higher risk by 62%. So a high omega-6 ratio to 3, more 6 to 3, you're at a higher risk of suicide, 62%, because he had a confined group of people to study. And he's a leading expert on traumatic brain injury and the effect of omega-3s on that. But again, no matter how much omega-3 you're taking, if your omega-6 is still coming up, you're not you're not addressing the ratio. You're only addressing one side of the equation. That's why a fish oil supplement doesn't do you any good. What is the most expensive supplement you can take? It's one that you take and doesn't work. And it's also one that you bought and you can't tolerate, take, or it's not doing anything good in your system, right? So there's lots of reasons and lots of people now talking about the dangers of this imbalance. And again, now we're even recommending this to all women of childbearing age, not just pregnant women. Let's see, was there any? It also affects military readiness, right? If you have low omega-3 levels compared to your omega-6, if your ratio is off, military readiness and cognitive resilience are threatened by that. Because the imbalance, what it does is it overstimulates the body's endocannabinoid system. It worsens obesity, inflammation, and mental health disorders, especially in youth. Our kids, when we test kids, like it's not uncommon that they have a really out of balance omega-6 to 3 ratio. So back to these polyphenols, right? So natural polyphenols, they present in marine oils, algae, and they play an essential role in protecting that omega-3. What from oxidation and autoxidation, ensuring that pro-inflammatory products are formed, or that no pro-inflammatory products are formed after intake, as often happens with refined omega-3 concentrates, right? So if you're taking that omega-3 and it is not bound by a polyphenol, you don't have to send me yours. I can tell you it's not, right? There is not a single balance oil on the market that uses a polyphenol in conjunction with its fish oil. They just don't. So what's happening is your body, that omega is breaking down before it can even get into your body. Plus, it's being broken down in your system. Your body can't use it, and it's not doing anything to bring down your omega-6 levels. So this says back to this is the ACS publications. This is going to be a European publication. It talks about the omega-3 marine lipids. This study identifies suitable avenues for advancing sustainable production of health beneficial formulations based on newly obtained marine oils and olive phenolic extracts. Important educational outcomes concluded in the study. It says that the polyphenols play an essential role in protecting omega-3 lipids from oxidation and autoxidation, ensuring that no pro-inflammatory products are formed. Again, this ensures no pro-inflammatory products are formed after consumption, because that's what happens when you just take a refined omega-3 concentrate. Now we're going to talk about polyphenols and fish oils for improving metabolic health. Let's see. This is in MDPI. I don't remember, I don't have the full text citation for what MDPI is, but it says it has been reported that the combination of these nutraceuticals, meaning adding a polyphenol in with your omega-3, leads to a threefold increase in glutathione peroxidase activity, right? Where it prompts our body to make more glutathione, as well as 50% to 200% attenuation of common inflammation biomarkers as compared with their individual capacities. So it's so important to have your omega-3 wrapped in a polyphenol. Vitamin C increased by twofold compared with levels at baseline. These results indicate a physiological relevant antioxidant function for hydroxytyrosol through increasing endogenous vitamin C levels. So if you take, and this is also great because I've been reading a lot about dementia and not just peptides, but dementia and polyphenols and these omegas. This was done in JAMA. Obviously, it was a paper in JAMA, which we know is very reputable. Consumption of olive oil and diet quality and risk of dementia-related death. 92,383 adults observed over 28 years. The consumption of more than 7 grams per day of olive oil was associated with a 28% lower risk of dementia-related death. That's why we call this not a fish oil or a balance oil product. That's why we call this truly a Mediterranean diet in the bottle. It's test-based nutrition. It is weight-based dosing. It statistically is proven within 4 months to bring you back into balance or very close to back into balance, no matter where you are. So when I took the test, it's an at-home blood spot finger prick test. I took the test. I started taking my oil. I sent it off. You get this little information card. It's just got a number on it. There's no identifiable personal information. I got my results back within 2 weeks. It's like a 20-page report that gives you a full, complete, complex breakdown of your 11 fatty acids, the entire profile. My doctors, when I took it to my medical doctor, he was like, "This is really impressive. Where did this come from?" Right? So you get your number. Mine was 24 to 1. You start taking your weight-based balance oil. After 4 months, the company sends you a test, right? Because I told you that 95% of these people get back into balance in just 4 months. They're so confident in that because they know the data, because they've got such a robust data bank of information. They send you a free test. So you test at home, you take the balance oil. You need to continue taking it, right? Like, again, we didn't fix our food supply overnight. It's one of those heart protective, it's one of those dementia protective, it's one of those true supplements that you really, really do need. It's just done in a balance oil instead of a useless, over purified, ready to be broken down in your system omega-3. And it's truly that simple. You get a balance test at home, you prick your finger, you send it off in the mail for free, you get your results emailed to you, you take your oil, and you start living healthier again. And 75% of people actually get better results when they take the prebiotic fiber that the company that offers as well. They have a higher, faster rate of getting back into balance because it just helps your body absorb it better because it's a solid prebiotic fiber that you need. And these are not things that you find that cause your urine to be bright yellow because you can't absorb it and you're just peeing out all the additional things that you're throwing your money away on because it's too potent really for your body to even process. That's not the case. That's why you do personalized nutrition, weight-based dosing. And I got to be honest, it kind of tastes good. So it's kind of one of my favorite things in my morning because it's helped me really simplify my um, my supplement routine. I'm getting rid of the stuff, the junk that I don't need because I don't need a pill for this and a pill for that 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 and a pill for that. I just need some basic things to support my overall health because when we start to bring down this overall chronic inflammatory number, the number that no one's testing for, and your doctor can't, P.S., you can't do it on a venous blood draw because a venous blood draw only gives you a snapshot of what's going on in your body for your blood cells for the past 24 hours. A dry blood spot is the only way to find out truly what's going on in your body for the past 120 days. That's fact. It's out there. You can Google it. You can chat GPT it. If you have questions, let me know. We can get you a balance test sent right to your house and get you started on the oil. It's so reasonable. I don't understand why everyone's not doing it. If you're on a peptide, you need to be doing it. Peptides are great for reducing inflammation. So are the GLP-1s, but they do not take care of this number. That's why it is absolutely imperative for your health, for your body. If you're really doing this for longevity, if you're really doing this for anti-aging, if you're really doing this so that you can create next level health for your next level life, you need to be on this balance oil. It's that plain and simple. It is our mission to help people find out their number and help them take control of their health. So if you want to do that, if you want to find out your number, drop me a DM, send me a message, and I can take the test for you. I can bring it to you if you're local, or we can just have it mailed to you. Easy peasy, super simple. I am curious if you've stuck with me for any of this or you came back and you listened to it on the replay. Go ahead and drop a replay in the comments. Let me know what you thought of it, and let me know what you thought of the of my little intro for my potential podcast and YouTube channel. I thought it was pretty interesting. So don't forget to subscribe, rate, or tap in with me on social. Send me a DM if you want your test, because I'm here to make sure you never forget you're not broken, you're becoming. This is just the beginning, and it didn't crush me. It's not going to crush you either. So thanks everybody for being here with me. Appreciate it.